Hi guys, the Right Honourable Gentleman from the 19th century, Jacob Rees-Mogg, appeared on GB News to talk to Tory boy Andrew Pearce about the illegal migration bill, which is currently going through the House of Commons. But while the man who belongs in a museum seems confident it would pass, he's already putting in place who will be blamed for it collapsing and burning. Labour and the House of Lords. Why? Well, because both of them hate Brexit, it seems. Have a listen to this.
It'll get a huge Tory majority. Labour will vote against it. Are you supporting it?
Oh, of course I am, yes. Actually, coming here, the taxi driver who brought me asked me if I was supporting it.
He'd have probably thrown you out if you said
and
no.
I said I was supporting it, and he went on to say he couldn't understand why there was all this fuss about Mr Lineker's view, because everyone he knew was supporting the bill and thought it was absolutely essential.
I don't think this taxi driver understands the bill. Very few people actually understand the bill. And what it will actually... The bill is illegal. Okay. But you notice at the beginning how they brought up the Labour Party here, because I think this bill may actually fail. I don't know the full details yet, because we're waiting for Tory MPs to come forward and rebel against it. But there are many Tories who are upset about this and will not support it. And the Labour Party are not going to support it. But like before, whenever a bill does fail, the Tories will say, it's the Labour Party's fault. Even though the Tories have pretty much a 70 or 80 seat majority. Whenever things go well for them, they say, see, because we have a majority. When things go badly, they say, it's nothing to do with the rebellion. It's nothing to do with these people rebelling within our party. It's the Labour Party's fault because the Labour Party want open borders or something like that.
That we finally did something we'd been promising for a long time, but of course couldn't do whilst we were inside the European Union.
And what if...
What do you mean within the European... We couldn't do within the European Union? This makes no sense whatsoever. How is rulings by the European Court of Human Rights have anything got to do with the European Union? Because the UK is still a member. Make no sense whatsoever. Like, how can you say, well, we needed to leave the EU in order to what? To take back control of our borders? Well, have you taken back control of your borders? Well, allegedly no, because now you're saying we need to take back control of our borders. And as the European Court of Human Rights has nothing to do with the European Union, how is leaving the EU...
The European judges take us on and say nay. Can we still say we'll deal with that? But
sorry to keep interrupting, but European judges... No, there's a British judge sitting in the European Court of Human Rights. This is something that the Tories and their supporters like Andrew Pearce will always ignore, deliberately mislead the public by saying these foreign judges telling us what to do, and never mention that there's a British judge, a judge representing Britain at the European Court of Human Rights. This is like the EU referendum once again. The EU is something external. We're part of it, but we have no influence there. It's always telling us what to do. When in reality, the UK was writing the legislation that we're seeing around the European Union today.
We're going to enforce this rule and fight the judges afterwards.
Yes, we can. This is really straightforward. It's exactly what we did over prisoner voting rights.
That's right.
Is that the judges found against us in Strasbourg, but not, of course, our own domestic judges. And Strasbourg judgments do not have direct effect. It's not the European Court of Justice when we're in the EU. Parliament then has to follow what those judges say.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to frame this as this is a problem between the UK and the European Court of Human Rights, when in reality it's a problem between the British government and the UK Supreme Court and UK judges. This European Convention on Human Rights, European Court of Human Rights I should say, is a side issue. The ones who will decide at the end of the day will be British judges in Britain, not the European Court of Human Rights.
If we refuse to do so, there is a discussion between us and the Court and the Council of Europe as to what is possible within the agreements that we have. And with prisoner voting rights, ultimately they really accepted that we could carry on doing what we'd done.
Yeah.
Do you think Suella Braverman is quite happy to have this attention on Gary Lineker as opposed to the detail of the bill and whether it has got any chance of being passed?
Oh, it will be passed. I mean, it will be passed through the House of Commons.
And House of Lords?
The House of Lords, yeah.
Well, the House of Lords will get upset. But ultimately, people versus the peers is not a great look when
No.
one of the major parties is threatening reform of the House of Lords.
Wow. Okay, so Jacob Rees-Mogg is trying to suggest that the House of Lords will vote for this because the Labour Party want to reform the House of Lords, or have threatened to, or have mentioned that they're willing to scrap it. So members of the House of Lords today will say, well, we better back this racist, xenophobic bill because the Labour Party want to reform us sometime in the future. Is he that dumb? Is he really that stupid? Or does he believe that the audience is that stupid?
The House of Lords will back down in the end. If not, there's the Parliament Act, and that will bring it in before the next election.
This was a manifesto commitment to deal with it.
Commitment. The Lords, they hate Brexit, and they vote against anything to do with Brexit. It's got
But this has nothing to do with Brexit. This is... Oh my God. Like, because they hate Brexit, they're going to vote against this. No, this is breaking the law. This is breaking UN conventions, nothing to do with the European Union. The UK signed up to UN conventions, international law. The UN has criticised this. Human rights organisations in the UK have criticised this. This has nothing to do with the European Union. Now, the only way you could connect the European Union to this is if the British government decided to tear up the European Convention on Human Rights or withdraw from the European Court of Human Rights. I don't think they're going to do that. But if they were to do that, then the EU would impose sanctions through the TCA, sanctions like tariffs on trade. That's the only EU connection I can make. But this is nothing really to do with the EU. This is an internal, well, an internal issue, but also an international one when it comes to breaking international agreements. Ridiculous.
a lot of lawyers in the House of Lords who don't like anything that tramples on their fiefdom.
Wow, what an insulting comment. So he's basically saying here that, well, you know, the House of Lords is full of lawyers and, you know, they're making lots of money out of this and they want to maintain this grift. What an insulting individual. And I hope there are members of the House of Lords watching this. I know perhaps one of them is. What an insulting comment to say that these people are basically grifters. And, you know, when it comes to human rights, they don't actually care about human rights. It's all about making a few quid on the side because they're lawyers. Ridiculous. But this is part and parcel of Jacob Rees-Mogg. Will this bill pass? I don't know. It depends on how many Tory MPs vote against it. It's likely even if it is supported by a majority of Tories in the House of Commons, it's going to bounce back and forth between the Commons and the Lords. But it's going to be challenged in the courts, even if it does pass. Because judges are going to say, we can't allow this to happen because it's breaking international law. It's breaking UN conventions. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.